Hey, yeah, get with it. And 1, 2, 3.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeremy here at Cosmic Soup Recording. I am back with another special interview. Not only are we going to entertain you, but we are also going to educate you.
And tell jokes.
Yes, absolutely. So, I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Samuel Singz. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
Oh, it is my pleasure. So, first of all, before we get going, how's your day been?
Busy.
Busy, yeah.
Busy in the midst of COVID-19 and the presidential election that we're up on.
Yeah. We're nearing the end of September whenever you're watching this, but
go vote.
We're in the midst of a pandemic and getting ready for an election, and the world's going crazy. I spent a lot of the day watching the news, and you know, my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Kentucky right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that hasn't seen any of my posts on Facebook or Instagram, this is Samuel Singz. He's an artist that we've been working together for a number of years now, and it's been amazing. So why don't you tell everybody how you got started, where you're from, most definitely, and talk a little bit about your travels.
So I'm born originally in North Carolina.
Right.
And so, which reminds me, I gotta see my parents.
Right.
Every time I say North Carolina, it's my parents, my family come through my mind.
You're supposed to go, but obviously with the pandemic and the quarantine and everything.
Yeah. It's a little difficult. So, but I'm planning a trip in the midst of all this.
Great.
It's been a while, you know. But North Carolina. So I got my started in grade school with plays.
Oh, wonderful.
I had to get plays. I think like second, third grade. Wackadoo Zoo, Showcase of Stars. And I would love to be able to be, just get on stage and just to like razzle dazzle the audience. It's for me, being on stage is one of those things where I can be free. I can be myself. It was a release of anything that I was, experiencing at the time. And, my mentality is like Michael Jordan,
Sure.
in the documentary that he did where, Michael, not saying that I'm Michael Jordan, but he is from North Carolina. So
right.
It runs in the genes.
Yes.
Yes. What I am saying is, like, the way that he would approach the court and how he would play would be different from so many other players. Like his mindset, his drive, his work ethic, and the things that he did was like, yo, that's crazy. And for me, that has always been my mind in doing shows and doing productions and performing is always, taking it to another level. I'm a Leo, so that also plays a part of, I'm not gonna let you outdo me.
Yeah, of course. Same with, that's kind of Michael Jordan's mentality too. Like he would mentally cause these feuds and things with other players just to motivate himself to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So. Yeah, North Carolina, and then I lived in New York. I have a because my degree is actually in theology, which a lot of people don't. A number of people do know, but a lot of my fans, like that's come this far, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, as far as with this, while been following me on this journey, in the past 2 or 3 years, don't know that I have a theological degree, that I have, I took training when it comes to church planting ministry. I did a chaplain internship. So I have a very spiritual background,
That's awesome.
with that,
Yeah.
So from New York like 7 years, and then I lived in Florida, Old Town, Orlando, which I love that place still to this day, and then I moved to LA about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, so 7 years ago. So even though we're now recording in Phoenix, because I'm working on some projects, shooting some videos, but I'm gonna be heading back to LA very, very soon.
So your home is Los Angeles.
Home is LA.
Yes.
Home is LA.
Yeah. What brought you to Seattle?
So I was doing, when I was in Seattle, this was when I was doing I was actually doing like pedicabbing, which was one of my side gigs. Which I mean, I'm just gonna say, because I don't want to give away that market, but I'm gonna say it was very lucrative during the summertime for me at the time, and for a lot of people, So that was one of the things that kind of brought me to Seattle, and I was only there for a couple of summers, but it was good because during the time I was there for that summer, I was able to do shows.
Yes.
So I did shows, and I still have fans today, from Seattle, be like, hey, that's the white guy to be singing, that's Samuel Singz.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That kind of like, can, and like I said, I was grateful for that time, for there and being able to build that.
Yes, because as some of my friends know, I love Seattle. I have spent some time there. I thought about moving there full time, but I didn't. But yeah, I love that. I love that city. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Mm-hmm. So that's amazing. So I'm assuming growing up in the church also led to your music and performing as well. So what got you from theater to thinking like, I want to be a recording artist?
So it's funny. I was in LA, and when I first moved to LA, most people that first move to LA, they're doing something on the side.
Of course.
Other than they're dark.
Oh yeah.
So people are still doing something. Which is cool. I mean, hey, you gotta get there until you able to actually be there. Feel the support. So I was doing phone marketing at the time.
Okay.
Raising funds for a telemarketing company. And this I never forget Garrett, who is a sound engineer in Los Angeles. Shout out to Haven Recording Studios, and he was actually one of the managers, and he said, hey, he was like, because he knew that I was working on a project, a film project,
right?
And he said, if you want to record music, he says, I'm building a studio. This is when they was building it. He was like, and I'll trade you studio time for recording. I was like, I'm with you. Keep doing what you're doing, but I'm not really sold on it.
Okay.
I wasn't sold on it because in my mind, being a solo artist, that wasn't what I was like leaning towards.
Okay.
I wasn't leaning towards that side of entertainment.
Right.
It was more on the producing film side.
Yeah.
And he kept saying it. But here's what's crazy, Jeremy. When I was younger, I always would pretend like I was standing in front of crowds of people, singing, performing. I'm talking like 10, 11.
Sure.
I was like I would pretend Boyz II Men was one of my favorite groups still to this day. And I remember when they had the 2 album. You remember the 2 album 2, when it was blue, and it had the number 2, and they had songs like Water Runs Dry. Oh my goodness, there's so many classics. Trying Times. But it was one of their albums. I think they did in '94.
Okay.
And I would just pretend like I was with Boyz, like I
Wow,
was performing live on stage. You know what I'm saying? And that was like, and me and my friend Terrell, when I go visit, we would pretend like we were singing and that sort of thing. So I never really was in the recording mode or phase in my life, until he kept like it was 3 or 4 times where he was like, "Hey," he was like, "I just want you to know that you can, we could trade some studio time when you're ready." And it's funny how when I think that was God working because I feel like it was a tap on my shoulder saying now it's time.
Yeah.
And so I did it. The first time I did it, I fell in love with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I fell in love with it. And what's crazy is I didn't know anything about mixing, master, recording, rights. So I got some beats off of the internet.
Well, you're sure. That's how everybody starts.
I got some beats off the internet. And then I heard, I think at the time there was it TuneCore? Yeah, I think it was TuneCore. So we're looking now like 3 years down the road, and I'm recording like a project. And so I put it up on TuneCore, and all of a sudden I get this note from this producer, I guess he was a producer at the time. He was like, you don't have the rights to be selling it. So I was like, what? Huh? So I had to brush up on my business side of the industry. Yeah.
And so about like how long ago was this?
So this was about I would say about 5 years ago. This is about 5 years ago where I really started, putting out music.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long would you say like you've been in the industry?
I would say about 6 years. I would say around 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, what was your first project that you did? Was it just like?
So, I would say the first project would be international. So I did. I would say international because that was the project where I literally. I did some songs that I produced myself.
Okay.
Off in GarageBand.
Nice. Yes. Oh yeah.
And like if you go through my catalog, you can kind of tell the release difference. Even though I recently released some of my older projects, but that was like the first, and that wasn't even a full album. It was just like I think that was at the time. It's like an LP.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we met, I want to say it was either the end of 2017 or early 2018, and it's kind of a funny story because I originally was contacted by another artist to come record, wonderful artist, and then he let me know, hey, I'm going to be bringing someone else with me. So I said, oh, okay, that's fine. And so then Samuel shows up to my house, and then the first thing he asked me is where my coat rack is so he could hang up his coat. And then I said, this is Arizona. We don't wear coats. And I thought, why is this guy dressed so nice coming over to my, house to record? And so I just thought, well, okay. And then he asked if he could do a song, and I said, yeah, sure. And so we did it. We recorded a song, and it's probably one of the quickest songs that we've ever recorded.
Hold on. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, yeah, that's good. Do you want to do anything? Nope, sounds good. Send it to me. And I'm like, okay. And I thought, wow, that was so bizarre. And then the next day he said, hey, I love the way it turned out. Can I come back and record another one? And I said, sure. And that's pretty much how it's been.
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure because every time he shows up, he's dressed very well. Whether it's 110 degrees outside, Sam's got his suit on, and he's ready to work. And we don't spend a whole lot of time. Like, if he makes a mistake, we'll fix it. But what we put out is pretty much a one-take performance.
Yeah. I'll say this too, having when we first met and how what really caused me to gravitate to you versus a number of other producers. No shade to any other producers that I work with or sound engineers, because I work with an amazing list of sound engineers thus far. But I always tell artists, and this is what I've gained over my experience with working with sound engineers, producers, and artists that are on different levels. Some have more fans than me, have more, views and more of a base than I do. And some, don't. But I always tell artists, like, listen, don't try to go for the big name producer.
Sure.
Or sound engineer just because they have a name.
Right.
Go for who fits you.
Right.
However much they charge. Whoever fits you well. Because that is going to be, yourself. That's what you're going to be able to build a relationship with, rapport. There's a reason why Justin Timberlake works a lot with Pharrell. I mean, with Pharrell, but with Timberlake when it comes to producing. There's a reason why, you have, artists like, a Swiss Beat that can collab very well with specific artists, producer like Swiss Beats, that can do that because they have developed a relationship over the years,
Yeah, and you definitely, the most important thing is just getting along with someone. Like, okay, if I'm going to be stuck in this room for whether it be 2 hours or 8 hours, like, you don't want to be like, oh man, this guy's annoying or whatever. Like, you definitely have to get along with the person. And, and there's artists that maybe their talent isn't as great, but they're so fun to hang out with that I've continued to work with them for many years. But then there's artists that, like are very talented, or they show a lot more potential, but they have an arrogance, or they're always late, or they want to bring 6 people with them, and so I have to let them know, like, when the time is right, after the session and after we get paid, but just say, hey, listen, I don't like it if you do this and this and this, or whatever the case may be. Yeah. And if they don't want to do it, then just say, hey, I wish you the best of luck. That's just it.
Yeah. I never really been, I'm learning how to do this mix and master on my own, which is a whole nother level. But I never really been an artist, I feel like, where I need like 5 women sitting in the corner on the chair. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and God. I was listening to Neo. Neo was saying, and he was asking, he was his true story. He's like most of his hits that he's written have been on the toilet. In the bathroom.
Sure.
In the bathroom. I thought it was hilarious. He's like, I'm not ashamed. That's what he said. And I'm not ashamed. But so it works different for every, I feel like, artist, you know what I'm saying? But for me, like, I just like to get in, boom, get it, and I know, now I think it takes time for artists to know their sound and to know their style. And I remember when I first started recording Jeremy, like, I had, shout out to Yoel and, who would tell me, he would be like, yo, man, he was like, you funk.
Oh, yeah.
Your sound is funk. So,
yeah.
I know you on that trap Neo, so
yeah.
He was like, but I wish you would do more funk and soul sounds, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's why I gravitate so much to, like, Bruno Mars, and artists like him and S.P. because, they kind of, that's what you hear a lot in there.
Yeah. You definitely have a niche.
Yeah. And then one more thing about the suits, because people are watching and they're like, this. I'm about to say something. I'm about to say the N-word. I don't want to keep it family friendly.
Right.
But they be like, this dude wearing suits at 100 and some degrees. Here's the thing. Branding.
Absolutely.
Branding is so important. I don't care what level you are as an artist, but like the way you brand yourself from what you wear to just how you carry yourself, like that has so much to do with you as an artist.
Absolutely.
And with you being different than everybody else, because now there's so many other artists that sing, you know what I'm saying, that can rap, that can do all of that. So you got to ask yourself, okay, what is it that makes you different than than all these other artists that you know what I'm saying that you're on YouTube with or that you're on social media with. What makes you stick out? You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's very important. And so I stay very true to my brand. My goal next year in towards the fall is to come out with my own line of suits. You know, so clothing is my next like if you want to say venture. But I gotta settle some more ground in music right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I am here to let everybody watching know that Samuel dresses like this every time I see him. He doesn't, I haven't seen him wear the same suit twice. Like, he is in this for real.
I had one girl tell me, she was like, she said, and it's girls who tell me, they be like, she said, do you wear your suit to bed? I'm like, what you think? You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you mentioned Boyz II Men and Bruno Mars, of course. Who are some of your other influences? I'm curious.
Well, like I said, my background is faith based. So a lot of you know, my mom. This is crazy, but it's true. Like even to this day, I remember when I first started. You know, I was doing R&B music, and my mom like, I heard this song, boy. What? Are you doing this with this girl? And like that's how my mom was. Like,
yeah.
Like she's a real like woman who loves God and she's actually a minister and so like she's really old school and it's just funny. But like that whole transition because like at the root of it all and the foundation of it all, I know of some of the most amazing gospel artists that I grew up listening to, like John B. Key and Kirk Franklin. Like Kirk Franklin, you know, even like his songs. There's so many of his songs that have got me some of the darkest moments in my teenage years. You know, who was one collab which I'm really would look forward to doing. You know, in the near future. But him and Lecrae's another artist who I think is just really smashing. A lot of like levels in the music industry and just really and bridging the gap too. So
yeah.
See, that's the whole thing that I've seen and I see happen is and I try to do is because like, you know, we all have a story when we create music, you know, but just because, you know, this person's a person of faith, you know, it doesn't mean that their story can involve these things happening. 'Cause life happens to everybody.
Of course.
You see what I'm saying? And so I think, you know, when you know, you write in music, you know what I'm saying? I never wanted to come out and, you know, I personally, I would not categorize myself as gospel artist or gospel music. You know, however, I will say this, that throughout my music, you're going to hear about, you know, God loves you. You're going to hear about like forgiveness. You're going to hear about these things because these are the things as a believer that I experience. You know, it's the same thing. You know, I use the example Justin Bieber. You know, if you look at like his Purpose album, you look at a lot of his later projects, you see there's a bigger picture that he have come into in his life. Yeah. So his music reflects that. You see what I'm saying? You know, you know, so yeah. So I mean, you know, as far as with the artists that has influenced me, yeah, definitely. I would say Kirk Franklin. I would say the Winans. I would say I would say Lenny Kravitz, Bruno Mars, Boyz II Men, Usher, Neo. I don't want to see. Now I don't want to like leave nobody out.
Right. Well, yeah, of course.
Say, hey man, see what you don't like my music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like those are the top. I would say artists that immediately come to my mind that I have listened to. You know, Trey songs like that I like, and I'm in my car or I'm you know home. Like these are the artists that to me, you know, have over the years have really influenced how I sound and have influenced me in the particularly, in the music industry,
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think a good segue would be Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
Because right now, as well as releasing a original music project, we're doing some covers.
Yeah. 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 We did. So when the Injustice George Floyd thing, I thought about writing a original song to kind of fit the time, but I was like, I'm gonna wait,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do this Marvin Gaye
Yes.
because, and here's the crazy thing about music, like how we all be like, oh man, that's my jam, that's my song, and you be like, oh no, oh no, so you be missing words, but it's your favorite song, so
Right.
it's like a lot of times we don't really know all the words to our so-called favorite songs, and that song, was one of those songs.
What's going on?
What's going on? I did not know all the words
Right.
to the songs until I actually did the song, and I was like, wow, like, yo, this fits. What's happening right now? And it was and I did, and we did a recording one of background and tracks, and then I saw the movie on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but Chadwick Boseman was in that movie.
Oh, nice.
I think it was 5 something.
Was it the 21? No. Oh, it was the older
it's
one.
it's
Okay.
one that,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah. So and in the towards the end, it was directed by Spike Lee.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So
You told me that.
look it up, check it out, guys. Phenomenal movie. And in the end, Spike Lee has Marvin Gaye singing "What's Going On" a cappella, and I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yep.
I'm gonna do because this generation needs to hear that.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so I think now is a perfect time. Let's tell everybody about the project that you just released.
Well, so the first project, I'll say this, the first project that we did together fully was Already Famous.
Right.
Remember that?
Yes.
And when we did that album, that was really my first like full length album,
Right.
Put together, and so that was I did that project, and I named it a project because in this entertainment world, you always have to feel like you have to validate yourself, or in a sense sometimes that you need a cosign. Like if I'm working with this artist and it'll make me look bigger,
Of course.
or if I have this many streams it'll make me look bigger, and so you wrestle with that as an artist, no matter what.
That's why artists feel like they have to pick big name producers, or they have to have features to get their foot in the door.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And you have amazing independent artists, like Devon Terrell, Jacob Lattimore, Futuristic, which is based here in Phoenix, like who said, scrap that. Like Russ, who said, get that off the table. Let me do me.
Right.
This is what I'm gonna do. These are the songs I'm gonna record. These are the videos I'm gonna shoot. And people that rock with me, they're gonna rock with me, regardless. And so that has been my mentality, thus far, is that I'm not for everybody, but I am for majority of people who like soul, funk, R&B music. And so to by industry standards, I might not be I might not be the biggest thing out there, but I'm already famous.
Right.
In my mind,
Yeah.
I'm already 22 Grammys in.
Sure.
In my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I've always had that type of vision no matter what I've done, which I think is a key point of success, because I live by the Bible verse that says, "As a man thinketh, so is he." And it's not that you think that you're better than anybody else. It's just that you know that you have the ability to do what anybody else can do, no matter who that person is, but even to a higher level because you're you. Yeah. And that's the key thing about being an artist is don't try to be, a Big Sean. Don't try to be a Drake. Be you. Find who you are, because that is you're gonna be your best self and release your best music and your best, projects out there by you being you. And the other thing was I was offered a 6-figure deal about a year and a half ago. But the contingencies was, had a lot to do with, mastering, owning my masters, owning my publishing, and I've for me, like I've done studies behind how important it is to own your masters and to own your publishing, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, you want. My whole mind is not just 2 years down the road, but it's 10 years down the road, it's 20 years down the road. So I want to set myself up, to prepare for that. But this project that we just did, after Already Famous, is it's called The Year 2020, and I went back and forth with putting out any music,
right,
this year, not recording, but like putting it out. Because of the climate of the country in.
Yes. Because it's like, well, how do you promote something that you can't perform? And Samuel loves performance. That's what a lot of his music is based around. It's a lot of that, old-fashioned call and response and getting everybody involved and just having a good time. And it's hard to do that right now. And we talked about this, and so there's a nice combination of fun songs to help get your mind off of some things going on. There's some slower love songs. There's some serious stuff, but mainly it's like, no, I think we need to put out music because as a culture, we need it.
Yeah. And then, once again, it's like this year is going to go down in history. No question.
Yeah.
No question about that. Why not have an album that goes down in history in the same year that your music is out?
Yeah.
And is available for people. Like 2020, no one will ever forget 2020. Like 9/11, no one will ever forget those numbers. You know what I'm saying? The year 2000, everybody was thinking about, oh my goodness, it's going to crash,
Y2K.
Y2K, like no one's not, so that's why I named it the year was 2020 is to take a reflection of, of just, from the first song is I'm So Alive. And the reason why I did that as the first song was because I was so afraid that I was
right. Yes, there's that too.
like I was sitting, I was stuck in the house. It had to be like March, I guess around March, April, and I was like, yo, and here's the thing, like this whole year, it's like it has been week after week, day after day, we hear about this many cases of people dying. This many cases of people dying. These people dying in, and then while I was recording, we was here in Arizona, number 2 in cases of corona. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, I'm safer in LA. But
I was like, I don't know.
You've gone down.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
If the whole fear of am I even gonna make it out of 2020?
Yes.
This got real. Literally you hear cases of who was the political Herman Cain who said, "Oh, there's no such thing as mass," and then this man gets out with no mask at a rally and dies.
Yeah.
Like so in my mind I'm like, yo, how can I combat this fear, this feeling down, because a lot of us was feeling down.
Yeah.
I feel like because I mean, it's like everything came down on us at one time, and then the whole George Floyd and that, and then being disproportionate, it hits, it hits home in a different level. And the thing that I want to say is like, hey, as you can see, Jeremy's white.
I am, yes.
But Jeremy knows me to the point to where I'm transparent, but yet like he knows me to the point to where you know, and you can vouch for this, that I love anybody no matter what color, race they are.
Absolutely.
Like I greet them, I treat them the same. But I think this year, especially with things that has happened and has made the forefront of news in the black community, it has hit harder for me being an African American man and artist in the industry. So this was my escape. This was like my release, and in the midst of me putting out music and trying to plead with people, of different cultures and backgrounds, and saying, listen, like this is not this is bigger. This is a human thing, and if we are all humans on this earth, in this world, then we have to work together. Bottom line, you know what I'm saying? And it's good to have somebody like Jeremy, who is not only a sound engineer, but they can understand or be like, I don't know, I don't see it. No, I just don't see it. It's because what that becomes to someone like me, someone like me, like a black man, is like, well, he really doesn't care.
Right.
Like he really is not concerned.
Yeah.
Like, there's no empathy at all. And that hurts because many artists who are, black and minority descent, it's like, listen, we're not some puppet that we supposed to like throw up our hands and make people laugh and dance and that sort of thing, but yet we can't be treated equal. like that's not the America that we're living in, that we should be in. You know what I'm saying? And then also let me say this: being pro-black is not being anti-American, because I am proud to be an American. I think America is one of the greatest countries in the world. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I believe there has to be equality, and unless we say something, not just black people, but all different races say, hey, no, that's not right. Let's all come together. And that's what I really loved about the whole, even though the thing that happened with George Floyd was sad, but the fact that it did happen, it did bring about an awareness to the world that, wait a minute, we all are in this together. We all can come together. And you had artists like really doing music that I think spoke to the time and the seasons that we're in.
Absolutely, yeah. So you brought up earlier, my co-host, you brought up earlier how important it is that artists own their own masters, and it sparked something because off camera we were talking, and Kanye West is in the news again. But instead of talking crazy, is he making sense? Because he's saying that, it is important for artists to own their own masters, and that he was saying that, the first 6 albums of his career, he does not own them. They are somebody else's property.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to know your thoughts on that, and then from there we'll discuss some of the services and some of the distribution service and labels that are trying to change that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. I don't like the reason why I avoid a number of the whole podcasting, which is a great thing, but I just don't like to get on bashing people who I've never met before.
Well, right.
or talking about someone who I haven't, had a personal relationship with, in general.
Like I will go on the record and say that I think Kanye West is a genius, but he's also batshit crazy. But I love him. Like some of his music and his beats and things like 808 and Heartbreak is one of the best albums ever. Mm-hmm. Not just of rap music ever.
Yeah.
But Kanye is very out there and he will not shy away from saying what he thinks.
Yeah.
And maybe this industry needs someone to kind of take some of those battle wounds to clear a path for new artists.
Yeah, I admire what he is saying and what he is doing. Let's not get it twisted, because if anybody can rock the boat, I heard Charlamagne the God say, I've never seen an artist who can make so many people upset and get them riled up as quickly as Kanye can. You know what I mean? And he's actually close friends with him.
Yeah.
So as far as with, know him. So, but yeah, I mean, I know people in the industry who I work with. I've met, who's worked with Kanye, who has, I think you have to, first I think you have to separate the person from the artist.
Yes.
And some people have a hard time, especially in this day, feel this way because they feel like that if you're an artist that you're supposed to be this certain person, and that's not true. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You could be a phenomenal artist, but a terrible person. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Like that both things can be true. So I think I've had to learn about character and how important character is. And those who have it quite well do they reach a higher level of success. But at the same time, his rant recently has been about the labels owning them, owning that no label should own an artist's masters. And he even gave a blueprint of what the new contracts could look like. And I looked over him and I was like, okay, I think it's not possible. But I like where you're going with it. Because here's the other thing you got to understand on the business perspective. You start a business to do what? To make money.
Absolutely.
That's your goal. Mm-hmm. So, what a lot of artists, and I heard one artist say this, says, even the major artists, like we're talking the bigger artists, names artists, like the Shawn Mendes, and the, and the Taylors, like they get about 8% of, say, 10 million.
Right. Sure.
Those are the top tier.
Yeah.
So you start going down of other artists who sells X amount of units, and it gets real sim. But it's alone.
Yes.
So in your second album, you have to either recoup what you made from your first, or if not, it carries over. So that's why you hear these cases of these artists, owing the label X, Y, and Z amount of money because their third or fourth album, and see, most fans are like, oh my God, like I love, like they sold X, Y million of copies. But the question which if you're on the business side is asking is, well, how much money did they spend to put in that album, in the recording and the promoting and the tour? How much money? Because then if that artist really came out. So for them, where they make their money for labels is owning the masters. Because now once you own the masters and the publishing, you can control the song for however long you want to, depending upon however long the track is. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happened to Michael Jackson and what's his name?
Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how
Yeah, that's probably the most well-known. Yeah, because Michael Jackson was up and coming.
Yeah.
And Paul McCartney has a song with Michael Jackson on Michael Jackson's first album, wonderful song.
Yeah.
So they became friends. And then Michael Jackson was asking Paul McCartney for business advice. And then Paul McCartney was saying, yeah, the money is in the publishing. That's where the real money is. And so then Michael Jackson buys the Beatles publishing. And Paul McCartney's like, hey, man, like, I thought we were friends.
Girl is mine.
And so then that's why, like, in the, early 90s, Michael Jackson's going around doing all these Beatles songs.
Yeah.
But,
and you know what I so funny about that? Is not only did he own that, but he eventually owned majority of Universal's catalog.
Yeah.
Which was connected to so many other artists. And then he started giving, like, artists back their masters and publishing rights. So can you imagine labels like this need?
Yeah. And it's just
like
all...
Disney.
Because then, fast forward, and then Michael Jackson's spending ridiculous amounts of money on his ranch and on everything, that now Michael Jackson needs a little bit of money. And so...
And that was the thing that actually how he was able... How I think they wrote off the ranch, said to pay it off or something with the remaining masters and publishings that he had in his ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah.
The Beatles do own their own publishing. Again, they got it back, so that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really happened, and back in the old days, a record company, they were the one taking the risk on an artist. They were putting in the money for development, and they were putting the money in. They were paying for the recording and the marketing and the distribution and buying or making all the physical albums and cassettes and CDs and shipping them to the stores. Like, it took a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, and people actually bought, albums. And then when cassettes were popular, then people would buy the album on cassette. And then they'd buy the same album on CD and, and so on and so forth. And so an artist could sell their rights for their publishing, but then they could still make money on touring and merchandise and other things, and now the whole industry is changing, whereas people don't buy physical copies of music as much, and so the record labels aren't making money, and so then they are finding ways to make the revenue, and that's what started the 360 deal.
Yeah.
And so now record labels can get a part of everything. They can get a part of your touring. They can get a part of merchandise. They can get a part of any sync licensing if your song's in a commercial or a movie or something like that. And so the artist cut is getting smaller. And so we're in the wild, wild west here. We're trying to figure out how can we all eat, How can we all prosper? Because, independent record labels, aren't making money. I mean, there's only 4 major record labels that control everything. Some people don't realize that, but and they're still making billions, but they're taking like every little crumb that they can get, and they're still like, trying to put money into new talent, but they're basically just riding off of the backs of all these artists that are, making money, because back in the day, if a record label, they could put millions into a band and maybe that band doesn't do well or they get shelved or something, then the record label's out that money, or if it's a real bad deal, then the band itself has to, pay it back or whatever. But we were talking earlier, when bands, they'd put out a record and then they'd have to do press for it, and then they'd shoot music videos and they'd do all these things, and they'd travel and they'd stay in all these nice hotels. That was all alone. They had to pay all that money back, But when people were, if a decent album went gold or platinum, then you could. But now, like with streaming services and things like that, like they're only getting paid cents on the dollar, and so we're all like trying to figure out, like, okay, how do we still make money?
Yeah, and I think it's important, because the more that I'm in the industry, the more that I have a heart for new and up and coming artists.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like. Like, I know what it's like to go without eating because you want to get this project done, or you want to get this video done, or you want to get this shot. You know what I mean? Like I know what that feels like. I know the struggle. I know that, so having experienced that and know that, and I'm really blessed now. Especially this year, has early, this year and even last year was just to see the growth and to actually see, me able to start eating off it.
Right.
The work that I have thus far.
The return on your investment.
Exactly. But you're looking at like hundreds and thousands of dollars. Like if I count up the money that I've spent in recording music, video, time.
Sure.
Like time, like just time. Like I could have put down payment on a house.
Sure.
Like bought a house. You know what I'm saying? Like easily. Like no question. Like but like would I take that away? Absolutely not. Because here's the thing. I was listening what Tyler Perry was saying, and Tyler Perry is one of my top, let's say, 10 people that I really admire. And he was saying, he said the reason why he was able to, he didn't actually say I'm a billionaire, but he was saying the reason why he was able to get to the point where he's at was he owned his work.
Yeah.
He owned his films.
Yeah, and so if anybody doesn't know Tyler Perry, he does everything. He was the characters. He filmed it. He wrote it. Yeah, like,
yes.
And then that gave him the opportunities to develop other TV shows and movies, and so that's why you see Tyler Perry presents.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
But here's the other thing, and this is why I tell artists, I was like, first of all, know who you are as an artist. Know your style, your genre. Know your fans, your audience, what they want, what they like, what of you, and build from there.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was saying, before he came to Hollywood, see, most of the black community knew Tyler Perry. I mean, he came on the Hollywood scene it's been maybe 10 years now, but he had been doing plays 20, 25
years. Yeah,
Medea
started as
Medea stage plays. Yeah. And he was already a millionaire, multi-millionaire from stage plays alone. From his plays alone, he could do a whole circuit and it would be sold out. He couldn't go anywhere without people knowing. He tapped
into a market that he noticed that, hey, there's no black TV shows, there's no black movies.
Yeah. And so he went to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And he went to Hollywood and he sat with a lot of executives. And they were like, I don't know if that's funny. You mean black church women watch movies? Women watch movies. It's like, well, why did she do this and why did he do that? And he's like, listen. He was like, trust me. He's like, I know it's funny. He's like, I know my audience. I know it. And they was like, okay. And he said, this is one of the things that got. He said, you know what? He said, we could do this deal. I think it was with Lionsgate. He was like, as long as I can own the rights to it. And it was like, because they didn't think that was going to be successful.
Yeah. So
as he
like,
knew it was
whatever.
Be. And he was like. They was like, okay, sure, fine. Now you look.
God. I don't know. I'm just asking. How many of those movies are there?
There's at least six or seven motion picture films that he's done that I can guarantee that he owns.
Yeah.
That are getting on Netflix, Prime, sure. like all these different digital outlets. But here's the thing, he was saying the first week, it was like he said, what's the numbers? And they was like, oh well, you more than likely not gonna make first week's numbers. And he was like, all right. And not only did he make first week's numbers, but I think he tripled that, doubled it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was like it's here. It's like knowing who you are as an artist, knowing your style, but then here's the part where you get to the eating part is, okay, now that I know who I'm as an artist and I know my fan base, now if you could give me a vehicle that can get me out to the masses of people,
yep.
I'm good. Yeah. That's all I need.
Yep.
That's all. But what happens is labels, you go into it and the labels will say, well, this is who we think you should look like, this is who we think you should sound like, and this is what's really going now. And we're going to try it out and see amongst these million people. But it's like, you have to be willing. Like, I love what Nick Cannon was saying. He was like, I'll bet on myself any day.
Sure.
Like, and he when he got kicked off in America's Got Talent, he did the Masked Singer. Masked Singer turned out to be like the number one show, sure. Mm-hmm. TV show competing against America's Got Talent. So you have to be willing to like bet on yourself and say, I'm going to go against my gut if I have to, sacrifice here and there, sacrifice here or there, but just know, that if you keep on, you're gonna reap. Like you're going to come into a whole nother level of appreciation. People really appreciate your music, listening to your music. We did a family reunion video. Like Zoom with my family and my family in Baltimore, yeah, and we all did it on Zoom, and it was funny because like I had family members whom I've never met before.
Oh wow!
It's like, oh, I follow you and I listen to your music, and I'm like, yo, that's dope. Yeah. I mean, it's great to have somebody in Japan, in Belgium, and Holland on Facebook or something, but to have like your people family that you haven't even met, be like, yo, like, I listen to your music, I like it, I enjoy it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sometimes it's harder to get family to like you than, I mean, I've had many conversations with other artists, and the people that should support you the most, support you the least.
Yeah. And that's another one, is like, going against the grain.
Yeah.
Because that's probably one of the toughest things. Going against what people that love you and they want to see your best interests, them saying, well, maybe you should.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you're not...
That's cute, but when are you going to get a real job?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have to be willing to say, no, I'm gonna go for it. And I think it's so like easier when you're 17, 18, 19, 20. I'm in my, later 30s, but like I'm at a place to where like I'm good, like, as far as with the tough things that I had to encounter, but I had to get over that loop of my parents, particularly my mom, because of the genre of music, that I was doing, and genre of music that I do, it wasn't what she, thought or what she truly enjoyed. But now she's coming to a point where she's like, oh yeah, so and so I ran so and so in the store, and they said they heard your music and they like it, and like she's telling people that's my son, Samuel Singz, that him, that's my boy, that's my boy. Like having that experience, makes up for all the times of being misunderstood and you can't, it's one of those things where it's a process. You have to go through it. There's no shortcut. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get a whole lot of no's, but in the end, if you stay the course and you stick to it, I'm telling you, like it'll pay off in the long run. And my thing has been that when I'm gone from this earth, like what kind of impression have I left upon people? Like you can play off the wall right now Michael Jackson song, which I covered, which you should check out, and it's for sale. You can play that song like right now, and in any club, and people are gonna do the moon. They're gonna kick their leg up, and they're gonna act like Michael Jackson. You're saying having that type of effect on people on the world, I think is amazing.
Yes. Yeah, that's amazing. So let's kind of, I want you to tell people about, first of all, tell them about Empire. And I want you to also tell people about United Masters.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, because I don't want to, I want people to know, I think they should know about both of them. But here's what I think is I want to say, because I don't know exactly where people are in their career.
Right. I think it's more of like, hey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like,
okay,
what we're saying, like, it gets overwhelming. It gets depressing. It's like, oh yeah, like, as far as, I mean, it's one thing if you want to just make music and just put it out for your family and friends, great. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's how I started recording, whatever. But if this is your dream in your career and you want to have that return on your investment and you want to get to a point where you can have 5 girls in the studio with you and all this other stuff, it's like,
it's hilarious.
It's like, like, is there hope? And I think that there is.
Yeah, there is. And I would say here's the thing. I would say before you try to hook up with like any of these distribution labels or anything, hook up with artists that are on the same goals as you, the same like aspirations. They could either be way above, they could be above you, or they could be at the same level, or you know what I'm saying. But try to find a good medium, because
something that's going to push you forward.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, the old saying by moms is the birds of a feather flock together. So if you surround yourself with 5 Grammy winning artists, guess what? You're probably going to eventually be that 6. So and here's the transition point. It's like here's the thing I haven't spoken with you about, Jeremy, but over these 6.5 years, there's a lot of relationships that I had to sever. Not so much because that I didn't like them or we wasn't bonding.
Right.
It was just that I'm trying to get here.
Yeah.
And you might not be trying to get there, and that's okay. But I need to get here.
Yeah.
I need to get there. And I've had, I've had amazing friends who have helped me along the way, and saw where I was going. And like I said, I mean, those are those are the ones who I constantly, I'll shout out in a song, I shout out in a message, like, but I think that's the first starting point, is to realizing that if that's what you want to do, you want your full time thing, and you want it to be to where you're able to not only support your family, but be generational wealth to happen, then you're just gonna have to surround yourself with people that are on that level. You know what I mean? And here's the other thing I found out, like, it's gonna be difficult because most artists that are well established, or that have thousands and hundreds of thousands of fans, and and can sell out 100-seat venue in anywhere in the country, which is hard to do if you're independent, but can do that. They don't do too many collabs unless it's with somebody who is kind of on that same level, because you got to think, at the end of the day, it's also a business. And so it's like, like this is what I'm bringing to the table, but what you bringing to the table. You know what I mean? Like, like I have this meeting, but what are you bringing? Like, how can, and so, but if you're able to make those relationships and get that opportunity, I don't want to call out any specific names, but there's a number of people that I have met in LA and just in general that I'm still building amazing relationships with, and they're at pretty high levels in the industry. And I'll tell you this, it's like what I've had to do is I've had to step my game up. Because in any business, I don't care what kind of business it is that you think about investing in, or that you think about you want a partnership in, the question that's going to be the deciding factor is, what are you bringing to the table? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so, I'll use it as this example, and I don't want y'all to get too upset. But if a guy is wealthy, has two houses, 4 cars, and is very wealthy, very fluent, he's bringing a lot to the table. 9 times out of 10, when it comes to him being in a serious relationship, he's gonna look for a woman who can complement him in some way or form or fashion.
Sure.
He's gonna look for a partner that can, he's not necessarily gonna too much look for a partner who, unless it's truly love, which it should be, but I'm just
he's
saying,
not looking for a woman that's going to challenge him. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's not, he's not, like, he's gonna be, when it comes, now when I'm saying, when it comes to, like, settling down, getting married, all of that, he's looking for somebody that can complement what he's bringing to
his
the
lifestyle.
table.
Sure.
Exactly. So whether it be that type of relationship, whether it be business relationship, that's the same thing. It's like, what are you able to bring to the table? How can I help you grow? How can you help me grow? And I'm gonna tell you this: Hollywood is smaller than you think. It is. I know. People will watch this and be like, oh, if I could just get to Hollywood, or I can just, hey, you be big in your city. You be the big thing in your city first, and then you can come, to New York or to Hollywood, because at the end of the day, it's always about your fans. It has so much to do with your followings and being able to build that up, and then once you collab with another artist who are, like I said, who is bringing the same amount of, this is the word I'm looking for, same amount of effort, commitment, diligence. Now it's like, oh, now we cooking, now we working. So that's the first thing versus trying to get. I love what Russ says. He was like, if you don't have a solid fan base of at least 100 people or so, like, why would you even put out an album? Right. And if you listen, and if you watch a lot of artists who are independent, they'll do mixtapes, 1 mixtape, 2 mixtapes, they'll have like 6 mixtapes before they actually have an album, a full album. Because once you step into that world, now you're on a whole nother level of now counting streams, sales,
Yeah.
like you're into that world, and so being able to build that up, because if you are looking to sign, I'm not gonna say that being independent is for everybody, because some people need structure, some people need someone to find their sound, some people need someone to say, to do a lot of this footwork before them, you know, um, to really get them out there. So it may be that you do need a label, and you do want a label that backing. And hey, I'm not knocking that, but if even if you're going that route, please understand that where the labels executives and where they're at, they're online. They're looking at the videos. They're looking at the views. They're looking at when the producer who reached out to me, who works for Atlantic, um, about a year and a half ago, his assistant had found my videos online. So having an online presence, having an image, having all of that
Influence, definitely.
is important. And then once you kind of maybe have put out mixtapes on SoundCloud, or put a EP or LP on iTunes and DistroKid, then you could reach out to go for the particularly for someone like a United Masters. You could sign to them today. United Masters, Steve Stouch. I believe that's his last name, but Steve at United Masters started, and I think he's doing an amazing job from what I've seen of being able to bring independent artists and give them actually begin to make a lucrative income, and give them a platform to where they can actually get their music synced, publishing, get it on TV, because that's where that's where a good part of the money is at.
That's where majority of the money is at.
Exactly. Yeah, and get it going there, and so that's
get it on one of those TikTok videos. Blow it up, like get it to go viral.
Yeah, and
because that is what is most important right now. Like, unfortunately, we all hate to say it, but that's what it is.
Yeah, and it's adapting. Being able to adapt. To that, but yeah, that's a key thing. But yeah, I would definitely like the approach that I've taken, especially recently, that I'm doing with this album, and I'm in the process of syncing a distribution deal. But the approach that I wanted to take was to be able to put together a project that I could do. I got the volume 1, which was Destiny, and I think that was like more of an EP, and then did the volume 2, which was an album, and then I want to do one more, which I think will probably come out at the end of this year, which would be volume 3, and then move from there to a whole nother album, and take a whole nother route. But that was in my mind, I'm already 10 albums in my mind down of how I want it to look, but I kind of have a structure of it, and I think for an artist who are wanting to sign or looking to sign a distribution deal or a deal with a label, it's like you gotta think like the consumer, like, okay, what sells? What would you buy into?
Yeah.
What do you think looks nice? You know what I'm saying? Being able to know those things, and then also being smart enough to say, hey, if you got the drive, if you have the equipment, if you go ahead and do it yourself, and let the world catch up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense to some of you watching, or if you're interested in pursuing a career in music. I mean, we don't have to get too technical, but I just wanted to say that every day 40,000 songs get uploaded to Spotify. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's all genres, so every genre is a little bit, different, but right now, hip hop, R&B, rap music, a lot of urban music, that is the new pop music. That's what's popular right now. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly popular because, it's a lot of like young white, girls that, who use social media, mainly TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, mm-hmm. and, they're looking for, music. And I'd love to sit here and say, like, it's all about the song, because that's how I feel. But nowadays, there's a lot of garbage that is being consumed.
I don't want to go home. I'm going to stay in the room.
Yeah.
The room.
But I'm not just saying this because he's right here, but I think that Samuel's music is that great combination of talent, good songwriting, but it's fun music that you could easily see in a TikTok video or in a Snapchat story, and that is part of his success. And it goes back to the video content, the social media presence. Like every time he's here, it's business first. We record, and then he'll do some live streaming, or we'll do some photographs, or we'll do some videos, or whatever, because it's always just about building up content and stockpiling content. And so I think that's, if there's any advice that we could give any up and coming artists in all of our talking right now, it's just how important it is to, create good content. Mm-hmm. Obviously the song is the most important, but right up next to it, is a hot video. It's having a lyric video. It's having, artwork for your single, for your album, for your EP, whatever, like anybody could film a video with your iPhone, but put some time into actually figuring out what you're going to wear. How you're going to have models in it, and what are they going to wear, and things like that, and hair and makeup and all these things, and sweating. All these things go into making, great video.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, the more that you invest in yourself,
yeah,
the more that people will come along and be like, I see where you're going. Let me help you. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I had one producer 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago. I sent him some music. He was a manager. He was a manager. He managed other artists, and he was like, work on a product. And I was like, what? And then I read it. He said, work on a product. And I knew what he was saying about the sound, the mixing, like all of that is
the whole package
is essential. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna find, you stay consistent, you stay with it, you stay consistent, you stay with it. You will be, your name will be amongst other successful artists. And now it's so easy for that to happen. So easy for them to see, your name come across Instagram, ad with Instagram ads and Facebook ads. And I would say, yes, you should invest in those. And you can go online and find out who's the best, who can teach, give you the best training in doing that. But like, because now the middleman has been gone for a while. And those who are doing six figures, please also understand, it ain't gonna just come from music. Because in my mind, I always thought, oh well, I'll sell X, Y, and Z, CD, or, digital downloads, and a good part of it can come from music. But now there's merch. You got merch. When next year come around, you actually have the opportunity to do show money.
Appearances.
What's that?
Appearances.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many different avenues. There's YouTube. Oh my goodness. YouTube. I just really found out how much YouTubers are making. Like I knew about how much YouTubers are making, but I didn't know like down to the cent of how much having a certain amount of subscribers and views. And I was like, yo, like if you hate a 9 to 5, you need to be doing YouTube.
Yeah, there's teenagers. That are millionaires.
Yeah.
Because of YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah. Like it is crazy, but it's the day that we live in. So now there really is no excuses. It's just all about, it's all about your drive and finding, finding your niche and finding your sound. And then putting it out there, for the world to hear. Because I know of some artists who, they make okay with their music, but their YouTube, they make more money from their YouTube videos than they do from the music, or they make more money from their merch. I know this guy right now who just he just released a Raph or Rolls Royce Raph, and but he's made the money he's made from his merch and from his YouTube has helped make the down payment for that, which is usually about 30 or 40K. When you're dealing with, a car of that caliber, but yeah, like, like just from like YouTube and merch. So like, and that's what I've had to do, especially over this pandemic, is like really buckle down, and make for sure that I'm putting out higher level of content. And I know it's tough because there's the songwriter in you that's like, yo, I want to write, I want to write these songs, like these songs I have in you and these songs that you want to write, and then you're like, but then I need to be on TikTok, but then wait a minute, I need to put out a YouTube video, and so you're torn between how to balance it out. Right. But like I feel like if you find, I heard someone say this, just find 3 that you really want to focus in on, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and just narrow in on them and give it all your attention to them, and maybe Twitter you do here and there, or you do, Facebook here and there. But being able to have that down pat you'll definitely see results and be able to build from that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you have any questions, you feel free to leave them in the comments or reach out to us. I mean, we could have whole videos on just social media, or how do I do this or how do I do that? Like there's an art and a science to it. It's just picking one day a week, put together all your content, and then schedule your posts, or or however you want to do it, really. But and just make sure you're present. I mean, there's analytics to see what's the best time of the day, who your fan base are. Is it mostly men? Is it mostly women? Is it older people? Is it younger people? How to reach out to them directly, and then then you start thinking about ads and target those ads so specific. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there's a whole video for that. Or you can hire us, but we cost a lot of money.
Exactly.
But I want to steer this away. Like, so tell me, what are your future goals? What's on the horizon?
I'm performing at Super Bowl.
Nice.
2 of them. 2.
When there is going to be another Super Bowl with people.
Exactly. First, when there's going to be another one. Which, probably won't be until a real one, 2022. But,
do you have a favorite football team?
I roll with the Rams. I respect Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
But I roll with the Rams because I'm in LA.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did a song for the Chargers.
Yeah, and that it was a job that I was doing for someone from Fiverr. Yeah. But yeah, I still have that song. But Yeah, I want to do. I want to do. That's literally on my goal. Is is
Super
to
Bowl.
do two, not just one. Listen, I'm gonna be very specific because y'all know people that know me know I be saying crazy stuff, and then it be eventually be happening.
You want to perform in two?
So not
Or-
just one, but two.
I don't think anybody's ever done that.
Yes, come on, Jeremy.
Justin Timberlake, I was going to say.
Bruno Mars, and
Okay.
Beyonce, and well, I think Beyonce.
Probably with Destiny's Child and then
Yes.
solo. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And now that Jay Z actually coordinates the entertainment, Jay, holla at your boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's in my goals. People say the sky's the limit. I tell people, the sky's not even the limit.
Right.
Like, and those people that know me know that this is just the nature of who I am. Because some people look at me and they'd be like, but you, like, you really used to have people look at me like, but you here, and how you see, you dream all of that.
So I have to.
But you have to. But but I told you the story where I came from. I came from a small town in North Carolina, like small town, one of the smallest towns in North Carolina. Shout out Class of '99 Smithfield. But nothing, no shade on the town. But that's what I came from to the point to where I'm working with some big names in the music industry, and been offered record deals. So it's like, yeah, like that's just been my, and I feel like as part of my goals is, we could be here all night, but to simplify it, I would say being able as an artist to influence the world like a Marvin Gaye, a Michael Jackson, a Quincy Jones. Like there are artists who are good, and then there are artists who are great and that are legends. And that that has, in my mind, has always been the reasoning behind what I do. Whether it be film, whether it be performing or recording.
Mm-hmm.
I want to leave a mark and to leave that type of impact on the music industry. But on a broader perspective, and what I'll be working more on next year is building my own film and music studio in LA, to the likes of something what Tyler Perry has in Atlanta. And the reason why for that is because I feel that artists need artists, like, you can record a song at home,
Right.
which is easy.
Yes.
And I think you should do that. I think you should. I really, that's something that you should at least be able to know how to do, or know how to master edit. Like, I think every artist should know something how to do that.
Basically, yeah.
Basically.
But you're going to come to a professional to get all your recording, mixing, mastering needs.
Exactly. But here's the other thing. Or have a professional sound engineer in your session.
Well, yeah.
See what I'm saying? Because once you get, here's the thing is very key. Once you get to that level, like, you're gonna want to have a whole team around you that knows you and that could do that for you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, to be able to have an actual studio and film area where, like Sony,
Oh, shit,
like
yeah.
Paramount, you know what I'm saying? To have a physical place, because, with me, it's not just music. It's also writing. Like, I wrote stage plays. I'm working on a feature film that should be done. I should be done writing it by the end of this year. That we're going to start filming in 2021. Which was the main reason why I went to the studio.
Right.
The very first beginning was I was doing a film project and I wanted to record music, and it turned into this. So being able to, like, being able to have the ability to be able to write, my own films and stuff like that. A lot of the concepts behind even the Midnight Kisses music video, a lot of concepts behind my short films, like I come up with, and I think that, having a place to be able to shoot it, especially in LA, and anyone that lives in LA know how difficult it is to find both, to have both, and to shoot in LA. So having that physical space means the world to me, and it's a goal, that because my whole motto from the very moment of moving to Los Angeles was never, it wasn't to be a big, people have big dreams, and I think you should, and I have them, but for me it was more of Hollywood being able to come, to my studio, being able to roll out the red carpet for Hollywood instead of me having to go to Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe me having to go to, because in my experiences of working with, a number of studios and that sort of thing, like you're not gonna get the love, you're not gonna get the respect. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why Tyler Perry dedicated his sound stages to Denzel Washington, to Halle Berry. They weren't getting their sound stages at Sony, at Paramount. So he created an actual, monumental studio that could give that respect, and that could give, and his cast, his team is so diverse. And to me, that's another big thing, is like having diversity. Like, if you look at in a number of the projects that I've done, especially the projects coming out now, is it's diverse. The set is diverse, the actors, it just that is so close to me. And then working with a number of artists that I feel like are legendary, like Lonnie Richard, like what's his name? Smokey.
Oh yeah.
Smokey Robinson. Being able to work Charlie Wilson, being able to work with those artists is really, I like, don't get me wrong, I love, Drake, Bruno, like they goes without saying, but being able to work with those type of artists,
yeah,
who have been in the game for so long, and to be able to have a song with them is phenomenal. So I'm working on that. I'm like literally as I'm sitting.
Hopefully the time does not run out.
That's the thing. It's like, it is. That's why I'm so. If people say, who would you, if you can get a feature from anybody, they will be on my top list.
Sure.
Before some of the current artists, because they are older, and yeah, like a lot of their music, and style. A lot of it, if you listen, to a number of my records, it kind of reminds you of that feel, of that style, of that genre. Just on a different level. So
yeah, that golden age. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's some Motown influence. Definitely.
Yeah.
Old school funk. Gospel, of course, also. But it's still modern, and it's still. I'd say it's still hip.
Yeah. I'm working on another. This. I don't want to say too much, but what I'm working on now, when I tell you, I go from like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I go from like 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s current.
Yeah.
And I think that's I think it's gonna be dope.
It is. Yeah, it is. That's one of the things that we had this whole thing planned. This project, and that's separate than what he just put out. But then just with the whole pandemic and quarantine, it put a hold on that. And so there's a lot of things in the works between him and I that has yet to be released, but soon will see the light of day. But and then there's a lot more stuff that we still have yet to do. But before we wrap this up, I'll give you a second to think about it. I'm curious if you have any stories from either your time in New York or LA of like a celebrity, meeting celebrity. You don't have to say who it is if it's a bad one or if you want.
So this is one of my favorite.
Okay, good.
And I hope I get a chance to tell this to Nas. He may not remember. Oh, he may, because it was the way that it happened. But so this is when I was working at Fifth Avenue in New York. I was working at Bloomingdale's. So Barney. Well, so Bloomingdale's is an upscale. Anybody that ever lives in New York or been to New York know that on Fifth Avenue, that's an upscale store. And so celebrities, entertainers, they come in there quite frequently. This is maybe my third year of living in New York at the time, like third year. So I think he was probably the first person that I literally met like in person, coming from North Carolina. And so he walks in.
First famous person.
Yeah. So he walks in, and this is when he was with Khalees. And he had his hat, on. I think he had his hat on at the time. But he walks in, and he's like, I want to get some of your polos. And so I'm like, cool. So I take over the polos, and I look at him. I'm like, hey, you look just like Nas. And so I tell him that. That's what I tell him. I'm like, hey, you look just like Nas. Now you got to understand. Now most of y'all watching this like, you saying or something, I'm gonna say it. Nigga, you mean to tell me you don't know who Nas look like? I didn't grow up listening to hip hop like a lot of my other friends.
And you're still new enough that you can't fathom like that could really be him.
Exactly. Walking in Bloomingdale's. So I tell him that, and he does, how Nas look. So I go back to the back, bring the shirt out, and it was so funny is at the time when I tell you I have never seen a woman almost like be involved with a man shopping like she was.
Really?
She took like 2 shirts, and she was like, "Oh, hold on, we can get this."
Yeah.
Who? And I didn't know who she was at the time. I'm like, "Who is this girl? Who she think she is, yo?" And nothing against, no shade, Khalees, no shade. But
did she ever grill it?
She did. I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the grill. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So but she was taking over that set. And so I had already said it to twice already. And then I come back, and I think I gave him, what he was like, because he at the time he had like eight different polos, and you would think it would have dawned on me that wait a minute, that he's working with a different budget, because those at the time were like $89,
okay,
like 100. So I said, man, anyone I think I said, anyone ever tell you look just like Nas?
And he's like, quit saying that.
Yo, and he just shook his head like. And so how I knew it was him was I had somebody, one of my associates that I working with, came over from the other side of the register.
I'll take care of him. This sale is mine.
He didn't say nothing to me. Like, I was invisible. He was like, y'all, how many else y'all want? Y'all want, 8 or 7 or 9. You know what? We got that in pink. Let me get that in pink.
You need a belt, boss? Yeah.
Yeah, listen. And then I think he said, he's like, I've helped him before. And then that's when it dawned on me that, this is Nas.
God damn.
And so he gets like 10, 11. And the dude, when I tell you the dude Robin said, that dude took the sale just like that. Took it just like that. But I was kind of new. That's another important point. In that department. So it was unique that he was actually, I was actually able to help.
Were you on commission?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. That's okay. I'm gonna get it back in the feature. Don't worry.
Well, yeah.
I'm speaking those things in existence. So he gets ready, and at this time, I'm asking God. I'm like, God, I'm like, what should I say to him? Because literally, my thing is when I meet, because I have been blessed to meet a number of people that are in entertainment and celebrities, that sort of thing. And so for me, I don't, like, I've rarely ever, get starstruck or anything like that. And I treat people just the same way as if they was anybody else. But a lot of times when I do come in contact with someone, who are on that level, like, I'm usually praying in my mind, like, what should I say to them? How should I address them?
Right.
And for Nas, I just really felt in my heart to tell him, hey man, God's got a purpose for you. And as he was walking by, that's exactly what I told him, and I was like, had my hand out for dap, and he did the pound, because I can imagine his mind, he was like, I don't know you like that. You know what I'm saying? So boom. And that was it. That was probably one of the most memorable first really encounters, and it's funny, like, how things turn.
Sure.
Because at the time, music and singing like that wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't like, hey, you know what? I'm working on this song.
Oh God. Yeah. Then he would have really.
Don't do that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Unless, look. It's good to sow that seed, but you gotta like be wise in it, and just it's okay to respect the artist without immedally trying to get a feature on your first encounter of meeting someone.
Hey, can I have a selfie now and stuff? It's like,
here's the other thing with the selfie. I don't think the selfie's bad because
after we're like,
yeah. I think after you able to come in and say I love your music, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there is an etiquette.
Of course there is.
And here's the major thing. It's like if you see anybody who is of some fame or some status eating with their family or eating with friends, hey, how you doing? Keep it moving.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Put yourself in their shoes. If you eating or you having time with, say me and Jeremy having time and somebody, 2 or 3 people coming over, it's like it's interrupting our time. And so that's a disservice to whoever's there with. They're like, well, dang, like we can't even have, you know what I'm saying? And so that's the gold, if you want to say golden courtesy that you want to give people their space. And because as crazy as this entertainment world is, first of all, you don't know people's intentions. And then also, like, it's hard to sit down. Here's the thing. I'll use an example as like with me when I go back home to North Carolina. There's so many people that want to see me and I want to see them. But to be quite frank with you, I can't because I have to my main heart and mission is my mom, is my parents. So if I'm not, and my parents have said this to me, like if I'm not spending time with them, like it's almost as it's a disservice to them to slap in their face because it's like I don't really love them, and those are the ones who was there before me, before anybody knew my name, before I had any kind of status, before I had any kind of music or records or anything like that. So so you gotta imagine, like you gotta put yourself in their shoes and say, hey, like if I meet somebody and they're with their family or they're with their personal loved ones, hey, how you doing? Keep it moving. Yeah, maybe a selfie, but really no.
Yeah,
because
and if they, I mean, it's a whole like, read the room type thing. If they're engaging, then you can engage them.
Yeah.
Like after the sale, after he got his shirts, if Sam said, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like offend you if I did, but would you mind if I got a picture with both of you?
Yeah.
He would have done it, absolutely. But not as soon as he's like, I'm trying to, get a shirt here. So, and then all he wants to do is talk about, something else. Then he would probably said, all right, and left.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing is like knowing the time and the place for it. You know what I'm saying? Like taking a picture while I was working for that's not a smart move, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to understand, and here's the thing that they'll tell you too about working in those stores. Like working in those stores, you have entertainers, celebrities come in there all the time, so you can't be all out of pocket. Talking like, oh my God, we better do it. Let's do it. No, you can't do that. No, because you'll lose your job because it is.
because celebrities or influencers, they want to go where they're not going to be. Where they can shop freely.
Unless they're from LA, and then they'll go to the specifically where the paparazzis are.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't get me wrong. Listen,
that's the difference between LA and New York. One of the differences.
Yeah, they'll go where the who's such and such.
Yeah, just so they because just as many like great down to earth grounded celebrities, there's a lot of Paris Hiltons out there that want to be noticed. Look at me, take my picture. But that's a whole other thing. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. But thank you so much for this. I think it's a good time to wrap up. If you haven't yet, go check out Samuel Singz. It's a Z at the end. SINGZ. Anywhere you listen to music, buy music, you can find them, search it. Most of it was recorded with me. Please follow him on all social media. You can search Samuel Singz on Instagram. He is Real Singz. That's REALSINGZ. Samuel Singz, King of Soul. Thank you so much. I have enjoyed this tremendously, and I look forward to doing this again.
And thank you again, Jeremy, for the platform that you've given, to me and being patient. Let me tell you, anybody in the industry that's coming through Phoenix, hey, you gotta stop. You've got to stop here. I'm looking in the future. When I say future, I mean 2021, to have him in LA and have him win a studio session. And he'd be surprised he'll find Usher on one end and then another artist on the other end and be like, hey man, listen, I want y'all to meet Jeremy.
No, just to be a fly on the wall, I'm there any chance, luckily Phoenix is so close to LA. It's just a quick flight or a drive, and I am there. But I did want to say that we do have a video coming out soon. Some of it was filmed here, so I'm really excited for that to be released. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Cosmic Soup Recording. Check out Samuel Singz. Make sure you're following him on all social media. Go watch all of his videos. Go like them all.
One last thing. I'm giving away merch.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah, we're doing a giveaway.
So if you subscribe, like, and share, you enter towards the end of the month where I'm giving away. I just gave a hat away. Next month is gonna be more hats and more t-shirt and more t-shirts, and we're getting sweatshirts in. So I'll keep y'all posted with the timeline on the sweatshirts, but definitely hats, definitely t-shirts. But when you like and you share, we enter your name in it, and we be watching. Like I be watching my comments.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So we, and then we, at the end we show that love and support.
Absolutely, yeah. You have to show love and support. So another reason. Go follow them on all social media. Get entered in for a drawing. You can get yourself some merch. And hey, maybe you throw in some Cosmic Soup Recording merch in there too. So be sure to follow us both. Thank you so much. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Peace.
All right, did it. Hopefully.